And here we go, my friends. We're off to the movies, but the movies in your front room, and Freeview movies at that, so they won't cost you a shilling, a shekel, denarii or a yen more than you're paying at the moment. And the recommendations come courtesy of Van Connor, one of the country's leading film critics, our man Friday when it comes to Freeview recommendations, and from me, Paul Ross. 3 from Van, 3 from me. He pays no money, but you takes your choice. Good morning, Van. How's your week been, mate? What big films have you seen this week?
Do you know, I saw Joker Folie à Deux earlier this week, the sequel to our first recommendation this week, actually, and wow, that was an unmitigated disaster, it has to be said.
Even with the Lady Gaga, is it a musical or not a musical? It looks like a musical, but then I think the cast and the directors have said, no, it's not a musical, cut to musical numbers.
No, it absolutely is a musical, but Lady Gaga is indeed the best thing about it, has to be said. She's easily the standout thing about the film, it has to be said.
Okay. Well, then your first recommendation then is the preview to this, and maybe it sounds like people won't be seeing this one at the multiplex, a sequel anyway, but the Joker's on, the original Joaquin Phoenix version.
Yeah, so this is on tonight at 9 o'clock on ITV. This is the first movie from 2019. This was the breakout one that the public really didn't see coming, kind of thing. It had been gestating in the press for a year or so before it got greenlit. But this was Todd Phillips' ode to the films of Martin Scorsese that also served as an origin story for an alternate version of the iconic Batman villain, the Joker, that had Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, a man having a breakdown in early 80s Gotham, here modelled on New York in a sort of taxi driver-like fashion, that sees him pursuing his king of comedy-like dreams of appearing as a stand-up on a talk show and exacting murderous revenge on society he feels has wronged him. Great performance. Joaquin Phoenix won him the Oscar for Best Actor that year. You and I covered that together, I think, in early 2020, just before the pandemic, I think. And it also won Best Original Score for Hilda Guðnadóttir, I believe, the Icelandic composer. We covered this with Bex. I think this was our final one with Bex. Great movie. It has issues dependent on how you read its politics and its satire, I think. But you can't deny a great performance, a keen eye from Todd Phillips, and I'd say a really great score from Hilda Guðnadóttir.
Well, I was looking forward to the sequel. I know you've got mixed thoughts on it, or more than mixed thoughts on it. I think it's a turkey, but I might still go and see it because I thought the first one was interesting, but it was really more of a setup. What I hope was going to be a triumphant sequel when the Joker found his energy, found his kind of moxie, if you like. Maybe that doesn't happen in the sequel, but give us what's your clip from the film, The Joker? It's 9 o'clock then tonight, ITV.
Yeah, so I've got a clip for you. This is Joker. This is Joaquin Phoenix trying to seem normal.
Here we go.
No cursing, no off-color material. We do a clean show, okay? Mm-hmm. You go on right after Dr. Sally.
I love Dr. Sally.
Good. Well, someone will come and get you, okay? Perfect. Good luck.
Thanks, Murray.
Okay.
Murray, one small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
What's wrong with your real name?
That's what you called me on the show. A Joker. Do you remember?
Did I? I don't know. Well, if you say so, kid, Joker it is. It's good.
Thanks, Murray.
Great undertone of threat there from Joaquin Phoenix's character on that one. I mean, I wish in a parallel universe I'd be going to see Jack Nicholson's Joker film because he still is Heath Ledger was great, but there's something about Jack's the energy of that performance in the Michael Keaton Batman, the first one. That's just fantastic. I think with Jack Nicholson.
I mean, I'm of a certain age at which Mark Hamill is always my Joker because I have to go with the animated series from the early 90s. He's just too good. And they got him to do all the PlayStation games, so he just rules in my book.
Now, my first recommendation is on this afternoon, so if you're heading off for work today, you might want to set the record for it now. You might not want to set the record for it when I tell you it's a Charlie Chaplin film from 1925, 1926. It's called The Gold Rush. Here's a strange thing about this film, man. The actual Klondike Gold Rush it's based around only happened about 20 years, 25 years before then. So this was effectively almost like a film made about a recent event in which 100,000 people tried to get to the Klondike, terrible conditions. Each one had to take a year's supply of food, which weighed about a ton. Only 40,000 made it, but it did see Dawson City go from, I think, a population of 500 to around 20,000 people. Fortunes were made and lost. The film is... I mean, it's Chaplin for me. It is absolute. It's like the farewell to the older Chaplin. I think the next film he makes, The Circus, is a slightly different film. I love The Circus as well. That'll be on Sky Arts soon. That was his last proper silent film. Then he makes City Lights in the talk era, but silent. Then Modern Times. What's great about this one is you get some set pieces that when I explain them to people or tell people about them, they sound like nothing. He does a dance involving a couple of forks stuck into bread rolls, and they become like his legs and his head's there, which is just genius. He also I think he had it made out of licorice because there was terrible starvation over the dreadful winters in the Klondike. He eats his own shoe, but again, he gets kind of 3 minutes of pure kind of joy out of that one. He then is transformed in the mind of his fevered cabin companion into a chicken, and there's one of those kind of on the edge of a cliff moments, which is old-fashioned looking, but again works for comedy and thrills. And it's one of those films, for me, it's a bit of a comfort film, this one, because it is funny enough, poignant enough, there's not over-the-top pathos, and I think Chaplin still looks just his mid-30s when he made this, just about young enough to get away with being this kind of slightly innocent but roguish tramp. After that, even in the circus, he's heading towards 40, and I start to think, a bit like with Jerry Lewis, when Jerry Lewis starts out, you believe him as this dopey, almost just out of puberty gimp, basically, or gump, I should say, rather, whereas later down the line, he just looks slightly simple, I think. So, I've never really asked this, are you a Chaplin fan? I mean, everybody admires him, but do you watch his movies and enjoy them ever, or did you watch them almost out of a sense of duty?
No, I actually did have to do a module on Chaplin at uni, so I spent 3 months watching all of the Chaplin back catalogue and learning all of the academic analysis of the history of Chaplin cinema. So yeah, I've seen the Gold Rush a few times, actually.
It's one of the last great Victorian artists, I think, Chaplin. And if you've never seen it, folks, City Lights, and they're all you've got to watch them all really, but City Lights is fantastic. And the scene when he realises, again, done with that dialogue, but the scene when he realises the girl selling the flowers is blind is one of the most brilliantly acted, understated, but moving scenes, I think, in cinema. And every time I know it's coming. I've probably spoiled it for people now. Every time I watch it, I'm thinking, this is incredible. Just, how many takes someone did it take? Because he was a notorious taskmaster. He had other things going on in his own personal life. For this, he'd impregnated a woman he felt was going to make the star. She was only 15. He then married her in secret. They then divorced. It was the most expensive divorce settlement of all time. Huge scandal surrounded him during the making of this film and in the aftermath. But still, it's on 2:00 this afternoon. Sky Arts, which is a Freeview channel. It's the Gold Rush. And I've got a clip from it for you. This is one of the funniest moments of the film. Stand by to split your sides laughing. Here we go. It's a silent film, of course, so be warned for that one. You won't be seeing... I mean, this soundtrack he co-wrote as well, so it's 2:00 this afternoon. It's the Gold Rush from 1925. And, if you've never seen it, it's the kind of thing my daughters love when they were much younger, because it's the kind of thing that, without being patronising, it's the universal language of cinema, because by definition, there's no talking going, no subtitles to read, particularly the odd screen caption, and Charlie Chaplin. Meanwhile, your second film could not be more different. It's a very recent film, and a very good film indeed, I think you've chosen, and there's your second recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely. So Saturday night, 9:00 on Channel 4, they're showing Prey from 2022. This was the stealth out of nowhere sort of reboot to the Predator series. It's a prequel to it. It sort of takes place around what we're led to believe is canonically the first interaction of the Predator with human beings. But it's taken from the point of view of a young Comanche woman in the 19th century, so 18th or 19th century. She's played by Amber Midthunder. And the film explores, using the English language, sort of like we're seeing it from their perspective kind of thing, explores the First Nation and this young, aspiring warrior played by Midthunder who goes up against the Predator as it's hunting on Earth. It's a back-to-basics, stripped-down, into the woods, almost Revenant-like approach to doing the Predator, and it had a great find in its lead in Amber Midthunder. Did you see this one when it came out, Paul?
I did, and I absolutely loved it. I've seen it a couple of times since. I think it's on Disney, or it was for a while on the Disney Channel. It's a grip. I mean, it's great, exciting, and also genuinely scary at times, I thought, or genuinely tense.
Definitely. Yeah, and it is. I think it launched originally on Disney Plus. We are now getting another one of these, a next one in the series, which apparently is going to take place in our future. It's called something like Borderlands or Border Run or something like that. Badlands, I think it's called, Predator Badlands. And so we're not seeing the end of this. I'm really glad, 'cause it's a really great movie. And when you pair this with Alien Romulus this year as well, it's two sort of really great wins for back-to-basics approach to two really great franchises, I think.
And taking it that far back or into a different culture is also a real winner on this one. So you've got a clip for us, I think.
Listen, Amber Midthunder proving her might against the Predator.
Here we go.
Why do you want to hunt?
Because you all think that I can't. I saw a sign in the sky. I'm ready.
Maui, Nita.
Wow, Wow, that is. I mean, watching that one again. I'm certainly recording it so I can watch it at a later date. Meanwhile, the back end of the 90s, lots of cinema fans were asking, I wonder what Guy Ritchie's going to do next after the huge success of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Well, the answer was, with Jason Statham, the Stath, as effectively the lead, even though Benicio del Toro and Brad Pitt are involved in this one, he came up with Snatch, released in the year 2000. I still think it's probably my favourite Guy Ritchie film, and it is, I mean, it's just this kaleidoscopic gangster London, frightening, threatening, very funny. It's basically Carry On Ritchie, I think, this one, because it's funny enough. And Brad Pitt is obviously having the time of his life as an almost incomprehensible Irish, I think he's like from a travelling community, great bare-knuckle boxer, covered in tattoos, irritatingly kind of hench body, because he always does have Brad Pitt, and he's just funny in this one and having the time of his life, I think.
Yeah, this is a really funny movie. I do think that this is... I do think that Ritchie had three great movies. The first one, Lock, Stock, then Snatch, and I also then think The Gentleman. I think those are his bangers. Yeah. I do have time for The Covenant as well, the Jake Gyllenhaal one for a couple of years ago. I think that was very fun. And I think there's some cool to be found in his Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie. But I think Snatch is up there with the highest of his standard, definitely. The comedy versus the reverence for the London gangster genre. Here is, if not its peak, then close to.
You've got Mike Reading as well as a kind of diamond salesman, diamond dealer. Two plots intertwined, if you haven't seen it, folks. One dealing with a search for a stolen diamond. The other's with this small-time boxing promoter, played by the Stath, Jason Statham, who finds himself coming in the orbit of an absolutely terrifying gangster, Bricktop, played by Alan Ford. So I've got a burst of the trailer. I mean, it is a thrill ride, and I've seen it a couple of times, and each time I've seen it, I've forgotten that bit. So I'll be watching out for this one. It's on tonight. Well, in fact, it's on the wee small hours of tomorrow morning. So just after midnight tomorrow Saturday, 1:30 a.m. on Film 4. It's Snatch. It's a cracker, and here's some of the trailer. Confused? You might well be.
Frankie Four Fingers has a diamond the size of a fist.
86 carats.
Do you know something that I don't?
Jeez, it's flawless.
Where?
London.
London.
You know, fish, chips, cup of tea, Mary Poppins, London.
What do I know about diamonds? I'm a boxing promoter.
I've got a bare knuckle fight. I want to use the pike in.
Fetch Baxter. Concentrate.
What? You're going to have to repeat that.
Fetch Baxter. Concentrate.
What? What's a gun doing in your trousers? Protection. Protection from what? The Germans. I've got the case and give me the stone.
The only man who knew the combination. You just shot.
I'm getting heartburn. Tony, do something terrible.
Where is the stone?
Heavy. Shut up and sit down, you big bald...
So what should I play? You can call me Susan if it makes you happy.
I don't care if it's Muhammad, Imad, Bruce Lee. You're going down in the 4th round. Whoops.
Whoops, we have a problem. I love that. London, you know, fish and chips, cup o' tea, Mary Poppins. Fantastic film that is. And my final recommendation is on, it's on Sunday, 9 o'clock on 5 Action. I've mentioned this one before. I know you love this film. For me, it's one of my favourite 80s movies. It didn't do great business at the time. It should have done. And it's, again, Kurt Russell working again with John Carpenter. It's from 1986. It's Big Trouble in Little China. To explain the kind of comic strip, fantasy, chop-socky action plot is probably a waste of time. But this is, I mean... Whenever it's on, I normally record it. When my son comes over, he's now 40, we watch it together, because when it came out, I had the pleasure of watching it with him, and his jaw hit the floor. He was 6 or 7 when he saw it. He was thinking, I said, son, you've got even better and stranger films to look forward to, because this is an absolute masterpiece. I think of its genre, isn't it? I don't quite know what the genre is. How would you classify this film, Van? What genre would you put it in?
I think action fantasy, action comedy fantasy. I think definitely. I mean, it's when you get Kurt Russell and John Carpenter together, the results are magic. You get Escape from New York, you get The Thing, you get this, and those are three of the all timers. Yeah. Like, I mean, they're the three, if not 3 of maybe the 5 best John Carpenter movies. And they just work so well together. It's so much fun. It's so tongue-in-cheek. It's a movie that you can watch today and it absolutely still hits absolutely the right note.
And the curious thing is, I think it wasn't made for a fortune. None of John Carpenter's films then were. But it manages to pull off that very difficult trick of action fantasy, which I think The Golden Child didn't really manage. The Last Action Hero didn't really manage. And they were huge budgeted films. This is a cracker. It's on 5 Action. It's Sunday night, 9 p.m. Say goodbye to your weekend in fine style with Kurt Russell and the gang. It's a thrill ride. Here's the trailer.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there. It's a pretty amazing planet we live on here, and a man would have to be some kind of fool to think we're all alone in this universe.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of...
Magic. The darkest magic.
They call it Little China.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
It's where Big Trouble was waiting for Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
Jack.
Jack?
Jack!
They told him to go to hell.
You make one move.
And that's just where he's going.
Somebody, I don't care who, tell me what is going on.
I do love his voice of that, but his accent. That one he's channeling is in a John Wayne, I think, and in the Escape from New York, it's in a Clint Eastwood, because he's a great underrated actor. Yeah. And this is just great fun, this film. And you're ending with another cracker, one of my favourite films when it came out earlier this century, wasn't it? An absolute belter, I think. Tell us more.
Yeah, so 2004, Hellboy. This was the first cinematic, any real adaptation of the Hellboy character created by Mike Mignola. I think that went out through Dark Horse Comics. This was the first cinematic adaptation, was written and directed by Guillermo del Toro, starred Ron Perlman in the first of two films they made together with the character, alongside characters like Abe Sapien and Liz Sherman, the sort of fire starter lady. The first movie sees them going up against Rasputin, brought back from beyond the grave to assist the forces of darkness in, taking over the world. It falls to Hellboy and the other agents of the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense to leap into action and save the human race. Such good fun, so iconic and kind of its time. We recently had a reboot called like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Hellboy the Crooked Man, the third attempted version of this series. I mean, like the second reboot, and it was truly god-awful. And it seems a good time to go back and look at how good we had it. The first two Hellboy movies by Guillermo del Toro, they are just such bangers.
And you've got John Hurt in the first one as well. Any film that, for me, that starts, I think, in an island off the coast of Scotland with Nazis trying to raise the devil, they get interrupted by British Special Forces. You've got me at the intro. I mean, it's a cracking movie, this. And I think Ron Perlman's a great and underrated actor. And he just is Hellboy. I can't think of anybody else playing the part now, because he's almost like, when he was born, they said, "Congratulations, Mrs. Perlman, it's Hellboy."
Exactly that. He's so perfectly cast too, but in that like Christopher Reeve to Superman kind of way, like an actor gets associated to a specific depiction of a character in the same way that no one could ever be Deadpool except Ryan Reynolds, for instance. It's just the perfect match of actor and material. Ron Perlman is it, and the film is very, very good. The second one is better, surprisingly, and also the first premiere I ever went to. But you can see this absolute corker at 10:15 on Sunday night on ITV. I've got a clip for you, and this is Agent Myers, our POV character, the human agent, being brought into the BPRD for the first time, being told what his mission really is.
It's a great film, this one, folks. Huge thanks there to Van Conovan. Is your off-screen podcast dropping later on this morning?
It is indeed 8 a.m. We are on because we got to talk about Joker 2 at length. God help us.
See, Joker 1 tonight, though, 9 o'clock ITV, but it's Hellboy at ITV as well, 10:15. And here's Van's clip. Huge thanks to Van Conner, and hello to Hellboy and the bureaucratic organisation that uses people with strange powers to fight evil.
Unique. That's a word you'll hear frequently around here.
Sir, where am I exactly?
As you enter the lobby, there was an inscription. In the absence of light, darkness prevails. There are things that go bump in the night, Agent Myers. Make no mistake about that. And we are the ones who bump back.
Great lines in that film as well. Huge thanks to Van Conner. We're live till 5 on talkSPORT and on Talk, you lucky people.